What's going on, agents? Biz here with another Division 2 build video. Today, we have a build that will make you rethink what you think you know about DPS. Yes, it's not all crit damage and lollipops. Today, we're going to take a look at what weapon handling and some other facets can affect how much damage you put out. As always, whether you're new to the channel or a seasoned regular, you're welcome here. I also want to give a special shout out to those who have subscribed to the channel. Thanks to all of your support, we have hit over 100 subscribers. It's been a long time coming, but thank you so much. Honestly, getting to make my custom URL is a very nice birthday present to come back to. If you have yet to hit that sub button though, it's never too late to do so. That little click goes a long way in supporting the channel. While you get to clicking, let's load up, crack a tall boy of LD, and get down to it. Okay, so DPS, or damage per second, is a term familiar to anyone who's ever stepped foot in an RPG. The idea is that DPS is a simple concept. How much damage your player can do in a second. To some, this strictly equates to getting the most heavy-hitting weapon, bloating your numbers with damage and crit hit damage stats, and seeing how much damage you can do. While technically, that is a raw form of DPS, your build may be short in its reach of damage efficiency. See, it's not just about having the most damage in 1 second all the time. Sustained DPS is equally as important and too often overlooked. The main difference between raw DPS and sustained DPS is again fairly simple. Sustained DPS takes into account several seconds of ongoing damage, rather than looking at the single second of raw DPS. Sustained DPS is obviously just as important as raw DPS in making a build. That being said, what can go into making sustained DPS work for you and your agent? To answer this question, for one, we have to look at the time and efficiency of getting back on target. Reload speed, stability, and accuracy, and rate of fire will be stats that help us get back quickly and effectively. Another great answer to making sustained DPS work is what's going on between the rounds fired. Looking into debuffs or statuses you could put on an enemy, or even a skill doing work, counts towards that outgoing sustained damage. So how do we do these things on a build? Well, I'm about to show you. I've had a lot of fun toying with this build, and I'm excited to share it here. We're going to focus heavily on weapon handling. If you haven't used weapon handling recently, you should consider it now. Weapon handling will affect your reload speed, stability, swap speed, and accuracy. That too. All at once on a 1-to-1 ratio. Oh my god! That means if you have 30% weapon handling, you'll have 30% reload speed, stability, swap speed, and accuracy before even any brand or gear talents go into your stats. Pretty neat, right? Starting off, this build is set up on a 4 red, 2 blue core with every attribute built into damage. Again, we lean on the Demolitionist specialization. This specialization is slowly becoming a favorite of mine, but in this case, the big reason we go into this is for the medkit, which grants a weapon handling bonus upon use. We're going to go a little backwards here, as I'm going to start with the gear. For the high-level overview, we see 3 pieces of Striker's Battle Gear set, 1 piece of Grupo Sombra, 1 piece of Sokolov, and the named Petrov's gloves, the Contractor's gloves. So Striker's Battle Gear is something we haven't really used on this channel, but similarly to my last video when we went over Predator's Mark, this gear set was a favorite of mine in the original game. While I was happy to see it come back, for a while I was pretty underwhelmed by its usefulness. That is, until I figured this build out. As a quick refresher, the Striker's gear set will grant a 2-piece bonus of weapon handling, a 3-piece bonus of rate of fire, and the 4-piece bonus of Striker's Gamble. This will grant a stack of 0.5% amplified damage up to 50 stacks or 25% amp damage at max stacks. Alternatively, you lose a stack every second or 2 stacks for every missed shot. The amount of stacks improve to 100 with the chest talent, and damage per stack increases with the backpack talent. So when setting up this build, I did try a setup that used the 4-piece talent. Similarly to the Chameleon Exotic, it took too long to get and keep that max stack. At that point, I figured I'd go in a different direction. See, for this build that is speccing to sustain DPS, we only need the 3 pieces that will give us weapon handling and rate of fire bonuses. And that's exactly what we did with the holster, knee pads, and mask. You'll also see we have a mix of crit damage and weapon handling for attributes. This will be a theme on the other pieces. Having a good balance of both will come in handy, especially with an SMG. Supporting the rest of this build, we have a Sokolov backpack, which grants extra SMG damage. For this backpack, we went with Versatile as the backpack talent. This will grant amplified damage for 10 seconds when swapping weapons if they're different. In the case of this build, as I'm running an SMG and an LMG, I'll get either 35% amplified damage, or 25% in PvP, with my SMG, or 10% amp damage with the LMG. Either way, that extra damage will really help. Moving over to the chest, we landed a Grupo Sombra piece. This will give us a nice buff to crit damage, and the Unbreakable chest talent will keep us vertical long enough to have sustained DPS. Finally, for gear, we have the Contractor gloves. In a perfect world, I'd like to see these rolled to weapon handling, but until then, we'll keep this headshot damage. The amplified damage to armor will work wonders, especially when you take this build into PvP, when you need to melt armors off all the other players. Also, its brand bonus of extra LMG damage, absolute mint. Skill-wise, we go with the old favorite of a Crusader Shield and a Reviver Hive. Really, whenever I play PvE, I go Hive, because I never want to be that guy that needs a revive. Truth be told, you could do any skill combination with this build, and it should thrive. Matter of fact, let's see what you guys come up with. Leave what you think the best combo for skills is in this game. I can't wait to see what mixes you guys can concoct. Now let's arrive back at the weapons. I wanted to go last with this because I think without explaining the build, weapon handling, and all the sustained DPS buffs, some of the bulk of this build's power could have been left out. To start here, we went with the Pestilence. To be honest, I never really gave this gun the time of day. For this build, and probably a few others, this gun is perfect for sustained DPS. The Plague of the Outcast talent will apply a debuff on hit. This debuff will last for 10 seconds and will deal 100% of your weapon damage over time. This debuff can stack 50 times, meaning you deal 5,000% of your weapon damage over time. Once that marked enemy dies, the debuff will also travel to a nearby enemy within 25 meters. Now, there are two things that make this a great option at sustained DPS. Number one, the debuff is not a status effect. That means you don't need to roll status effects to make it better. You just have to shoot, and it eventually passes to the next guy. Also, you can roll more weapon handling, where you may have rolled status effects, and make this gun a laser. Number two, weapon handling won't negate the fact that this gun is an LMG. Even with this build having almost 50% reload speed, you'll still have some time in between magazines. This debuff will keep the damage coming though, making it a really good, possibly one of the better exotics for sustained DPS. The other gun I ran with this setup is a Vector SBR 9mm. Not the tactical Vector, nope. Not the Vector 45 ACP, or the Dark Winter, nope. The 9mm Vector, that one. I went with this gun after watching a Kamikaze Von Doom video about this gun and its impressive ammo capacity. I'm going to link it in the description below. The Vector archetype of SMGs already has the highest rate of fire in the game. So with the striker bonuses to rate of fire, we get to 1380 RPM. And this little gun that could just spits violently on your enemies. To make matters worse for anyone on the wrong side of this weapon's barrel, we put Optimist on as the weapon talent. I may swap this out for something different, but for now, the more rounds I put out means higher damage the lower my ammo count gets. That's pretty sweet. When we go into the stats, you'll still see some respectable numbers for crit hit chance and damage. One place we see a big jump in is everything weapon handling helps with. Seeing near 40 to 50% improvements to swap speed, reload, accuracy, and stability will allow us to land more shots quickly and efficiently. As you can see, this setup is a fun one to run in PvE. I'd imagine it will be good in PvP too with the right tweaks to skills. Sometimes going off the meta to find new ways to make damage happen can be really cool. And if you're trying to set something up and having a hard time, leave it in the comments below. Let's figure it out together. Either way, that will wrap things up here. Again, thanks so much to those that helped get the channel to 100 subscribers. It may seem small, but I'm proud of the achievement and can't wait to show you guys what we have cooking. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, leave a comment below what you liked the most. I'll catch you all next time. Biz out.